Hi, everyone. We're going to give it about 1 more minute to let a few more people join the line. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is our first installment of our Power Your Platform series. This month, we're featuring our partner eSkill, a pre-employment assessment company. My name is Alexandra Janko. I'll be supporting the webinar and facilitating our Q&A. So throughout the webinar, if any questions arise, please feel free to add them on the sidebar, and we will address those at the end of the webinar. And let's jump into it by introducing our speakers. So from iCims, we have Weston Smith. He is our sales engineer. And from eSkill, Chance Schilling. He is our client success manager. So I will pass it off to Weston.
Excellent. Appreciate everybody's time this afternoon. As Alexandra said, I'm Weston Smith, a sales engineer here at iCims. Been with the company about 8 years, which means I have far less hair than you see in that picture. But I appreciate everybody's time. I'll be facilitating the iCims portion of the demonstration, leading you through a slide. But Chance from eSkill is going to be doing a lot of the steering today. So I'll pass it over to Chance for a quick introduction.
Okay, and perfect. Thank you, Alexandra, and thank you, Weston. So just a little intro on me. I am a client success manager here at eSkill. I've been here about 3 years, and actually the exact opposite thing happened to me. I actually have more hair, which you guys will be able to see in a minute. But my job is entirely just to make sure that people get the most out of eSkill's platform. So I'll pass it back over to Weston, and he'll take the next slide.
Excellent. Thanks again, Chance. So, team, what we're seeing in this day and age is that the TA landscape is just continuously changing. I think we'll all agree that the competition for talent has increased tremendously. A more common theme, as you're seeing on the screen, is that we're finding that companies are leveraging several technologies, a very large number, to support their entire talent acquisition process. On average, we're talking about upwards of 24 different recruiting technologies to complete your recruiting efforts. So iCims has facilitated this concept of uniting your talent acquisition efforts with Unify. So Unify really means we want to unify all of your solutions into a single solution such as iCims. So leveraging strong integrations with our partners such as eSkill to be able to facilitate items like launching an assessment, doing so from the iCims platform, allowing technologies like eSkill to perform their services, and then ultimately funneling those results back into your iCims view. So what does that mean for you? We can literally do and execute all of our actions from within iCims, see all of our results and reporting within iCims, and we're really able to do this through several strong integrations. So we believe in the power of uniting all platforms into one, and that's how we came up with this concept of Unify. So as you hear more from partners, again, it's all about just unifying all of our efforts and facilitating it through a single solution, but by leveraging other services. And I think that's why we're coming to you today to talk a little bit more about this particular relationship with eSkill. You're seeing some metrics on the screen, so Chance, I'll go ahead and pass it back to you to kind of lead the way from the eSkill perspective.
Okay, perfect. So as you can see on the screen, we've completed 12 successful integrations with iCims. The first of which was one of my clients back in 2015. And since then, I've had several more come to me and want to integrate just to smooth over that process. But I'll talk a little bit about eSkill and what we do. So it works in 3 main areas. The most common is pre-hire assessments. And that's just so you can go through and really understand who your most qualified candidates are. Another piece is skills audits. or benchmarking using your current incumbents, finding out where they are as far as their skill sets and where they need to be. And then also on the back end of that is the development piece, where you can actually go in and once you understand where everyone is, bring up everyone up to their peak productivity via training and those benchmarks, of course. And then we can head over into that next slide. So we do have some statistics like Weston mentioned. Number one is the extremely tight labor market with a 3.9% unemployment rate and 6.9% or 6.9 million jobs unfilled. The labor market's very tight, and you might be saying, hey, I don't have enough candidates. I should just be accepting everyone that comes through our system. But in reality, it's one of the more important times to do skills testing because, well, for one, you're trying to make the most out of the candidates you do have, and that's what skills testing is all about. Whether it's skills testing in the fact that you need them to type, understand Outlook and Word, or if you need them to understand soft skills like problem solving or communication or just understanding empathy. eSkill does that in a great way of being able to configure your test to make it fit for your job and your company. And we can head on over to that next slide. And I think that's where we go into our actual demos of the platform. So I think Alexandra is going to share access with me, and then I'll be able to share my screen on the eSkill side. Are you guys able to see my screen?
We are. Thanks, Chance.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So from your dashboard, I'm going to cover two main things. One is how easy it is to create a test, and number two is the reporting piece. And then I'll kick it back over to Weston. So a real quick overview of this first page. eSkill makes it very easy to see your information and what tests you have currently in your platform. But whenever you go to create a new test, you have three options. So option one is off the shelf, ready to send out to your candidates. And it's either subject-based or job-based. So if you go in here and type out you want Excel, there are a plethora of options and versions of Excel you can choose. But within each option, you can go through and see what subjects this covers. And same thing on the job-based side. So there's over 600 pre-built subject-based tests and over 500 pre-built job-based tests on this right side. So same thing over here. If we're looking for an account executive, we can just press on this, and it'll give us a short description of that test, what subjects are in the test, and also what positions this test might be good for. So if you're hiring for an account executive, but you're looking for something with a slightly different title, that's where you can see the different descriptions of, you know, what we can use it for. If you're looking for something a little bit more specific, say you want to test over Word, Outlook, Excel, that's where we can go through and generate our multi-subjects. So this is a little bit more flexible. It's not preset, it's not standardized. You get to go through and select which subjects are in your test. So you have the option of length. And for example, if we type in 40 questions and fill it up with our subjects, and then I'll throw in a data checking question, and then you get to select the difficulty of each of those subjects. That's it. So you select your subject, how long you want the test to be, and then it'll pull difficulty levels for each of these. So Outlook will give you 10 questions of intermediate and advanced, 10 questions of Word that are beginner and intermediate, and then you'll just generate your test. Option 3 gives us a lot more flexibility. So if I go through and name it iCims test, we can theoretically go through and pick from, let's say, interview questions. We can theoretically go through on any of these subjects and handpick from any of our 60,000 plus questions. So if I go into example interview questions, it'll give me a list of all of our 199 questions available in this subject. I'm also able to go through and preview each of these questions and see if we like it. And if we do like it, we just add this question to the test. And we can go through and do this for as many questions as we need, as many subjects as we need, and it's all built into one fully comprehensive test. We also have other content available just from that standard content. So I have a test that's pre-built in here, and I'll give you guys a look at that piece. So this is actually our voice and video product. What we can see right here is we can collect either the voice or the video of our candidate. So this one's just tracking, this one's for a CSR position I built. It's for tracking their pace, tone, and accuracy via audio recording. And it gets them to read this paragraph, record what they're doing, and whenever they're done, it'll attach that to the report whenever they finish the test. Same thing with the video recording. We can go through and hopefully I have one set up for you. Yes, there we go. So, oh, and you can actually see all my hair now. So this one is good for validating the identity of your candidates, asking interview questions, really a huge number of things, and I'll show you guys what that looks like. But if I get out of this, so you guys don't have to look at my face anymore, I'll take you over to those reports. And whenever we have a candidate that has finished their subject-based test, whatever it is, we can actually go in and view that as part of the report, which of course will be available in iCims as well. So I've been sending this out to candidates and to employers to take a look at. And we can actually go through and look at the response of our candidates. I won't play it for their privacy, but it comes attached to the report. And same thing on the other types of tests we have built, which are Excel, Word, Outlook, any number of those 600 plus subjects. So if we come in here, it gives us a clean subject breakdown of how they did on every single one of these subjects. If they did typing, it'll give us their standard net words per minute, accuracy, and actual net words per minute across any typing subjects you have in there. As far as test results by question, it's cleanly broken down by, first of all, color coding. So green is correct, yellow is partially correct, and red is incorrect. But you can go through and see how they did on each question, the correct answer, how the user answered, how long they took on this question, and you can go through and preview it, just like the candidate would see it. We can see their score and all their how long they took on the test. And this reporting is all available in iCims. That's the importance of having that integration, is you're able to actually deploy the test from iCims. The candidate completes their test, and then this report and this information is all available in iCims. So I'll pass it over to Weston, and he'll be able to talk a little bit more about that.
Excellent. Chance, really appreciate it. Team, hopefully you got very comfortable there with how you can easily build those predetermined assessments that you would want to share and provide to your candidates. I'm going to begin to share my screen. I'm hoping this is starting in a moment. I'll have Alexandra keep me honest here. There we go. So now we'll talk a little bit more about how you can preliminarily kind of facilitate this activity within iCims. So part of this partnership with eSkill is allowing you to not only easily build those assessments, of course, but the opportunity to actually tie them into your iCims platform. And that actually begins at the requisition level. So when you're creating a job in the first place, we can have, and here's a sample requisition form, where you can actually, within the job, have a custom field, if you will, that will allow you to determine what assessment you are associating to this job. So for any candidate that you are going to push towards the assessment, it's already been determined, again, as to what assessment they will ultimately be completing for you. So to give you a better insight as to how you can facilitate the assessment process, one of two events can actually take place. The first we could start with right in the actual platform. So if you're working within an individual candidate and you're making determinations that this is the individual I would want to complete this, pre-employment assessment, we'll have it what we call status driven. So being able to essentially send a candidate to a particular status. In this instance, maybe you have it called something like launch my assessment, and you'll see there's an auto launch action associated to this. So ultimately what will happen is that's going to facilitate the communication to eSkill in this instance. eSkill will then be routing to your candidate really a link to the assessment that they're supposed to be taking. So they're kind of webhooking in, pulling out core information on that candidate, inviting them to now take the assessment. They will take the assessment kind of in the format that Chance just outlined for us, and all along the while, we'll be facilitating the results back into the iCims platform like Chance had alluded to. So here's a sample size of that might look like. So a lot of our clients, especially from the recruiter chair, if you will, or a hiring manager chair, they care more about the immediate results, right? Was this assessment completed? Out of a scoring mechanism, what was the score they received? In our eyes, did they pass or did they fail? What dates was this sent out, et cetera. And then as Chance alluded to, being able to link you to the actual detailed reports of those results. This could be one of two things. This could be a web-based PDF that just outlines responses to maybe the questions. But if there was videos included in those assessments like Chance was showing us earlier, this could also redirect the user back into the eSkill platform where they can review those results in full detail. So that really becomes preference-based from our clients. So I don't want anybody to think they have to make a hard-coded decision today. But I think that's the most common theme, is being able to dictate what candidates we want to trigger to the assessment, and specifically what assessment are they going to be completing based on the requisition that they are tied to or have applied to in the first place. The other opportunity, which I think is a little less common, to be honest, depending upon your relationships with some of these vendors and how it's contracted, et cetera, is what we would call upon application complete. So if at your organization you mandate all candidates to take some portion of a pre-employment screening, regardless of role they apply to, what department they might be associated to, upon the completion of an application experience. So maybe once they've built their candidate profile, maybe supplied some EEO information, or even responded to some job-specific screening questions. Once they've completed the iCims criteria, we can have it automatically refresh onto the screen a link that will direct that individual to that assessment that's been predetermined that they need to complete. So again, I think that instance is a little further and few between, if you will. I think more clients are comfortable dictating which candidates at a certain part in their evaluation process are they going to ask to complete this, behavioral assessment or whatever it might be at that instance. But I think what we wanted to make you comfortable with is that there are multiple avenues in terms of determining when you're going to ask that candidate to complete. And by our definition, just to reiterate, it's either upon application complete, so literally at the end of their initial application experience, or having it status driven within a recruiting workflow, so you can submit candidates to that status and then help them facilitate the assessment from there. Feeling very comfortable that as part of that unified story, the results will funnel back into that individual's profile within the iCims platform. So I think that's ultimately it from the iCims side. I think we wanted the team to get really comfortable with just reviewing what it might look like with a partnership with eSkill to build your assessments, how they're stored, what types of assessments are available to you. So at this point, I might turn it back over to Alexandra and let her lead us home.
Sounds great.
Okay, listen, 1 second. So just to solidify the power of the iCims integration with eSkill, pretty much once you've built out your assessments and assigned them to their appropriate requisitions, you never have to log into eSkill again. So it's a very seamless process as far as deploying your assessments and collecting those results. And that's one extra thing I wanted to hit on. So I'll pass it back over to you, Alexandra.
Thank you, Chance. Great. So I just wanted to take a moment on this slide just to point out that eSkill is in the iCims marketplace. So if there are, additional questions that you have that are not addressed in this particular webinar, or if you'd like to reach out to eSkill directly, feel free to visit the eSkill product within the iCims marketplace, and you can find out a lot more information and resources available there. At this point, we will take some questions. So we'll start with one that came in. Do you have, and this is for you, Chance, but do you have cognitive and behavioral questions and assessments within the eSkill platform?
Yes, so that content is included within our 60,000 plus questions. It's included as its own subset. So there's several kind of topics, I guess, within cognitive testing. There's abilities, and I won't get into every single one of them, but the short answer is yes. And if anyone has questions about that, I'll be more than happy to walk anyone through anything cognitive they have questions on.
Great. Here's another question. Are the assessments for skilled labor, like a math assessment, reading tape measurement, math problem solving questions?
Yes. So in our 600 plus subjects, there are basic math questions, warehouse skills, pick and pull skills. The list goes on, and again, I won't get into the full list of it. But if anyone's interested, I can give you a full list, or it's available on eSkill's website, where you can actually pull a list of every single subject we have available. And we're always constantly updating that list and making sure that the needs of our clients are met.
Great. And this is kind of a follow-up question to that, but I have a feeling since eSkill is so vast with 600 plus questions and assessments that the answer is all industries. But what industries does eSkill work with?
So you're exactly right. It's all industries. The most common one we see, and it's usually in positions that are higher turnover, but I work with a lot of call centers that have customer service reps. So they're needing to do basic office skills, Outlook, Word, Excel, typing, but they're also using voice and video for phone screening. They're using that for interviewing the candidates. They really have to process a lot of candidates, and so that's the industry I see the most. And they really have to do it efficiently if they're bringing in, 10,000 plus candidates a year. So I would say that's the most common one on my side, but the content covers everything.
Great. Now, this is a question that came in that I believe happened before we jumped into the iCims platform, but I feel like it's such a important aspect of this webinar. The information in detail like that is available from eSkill is available in iCims, or is it just the score? So I think just taking that moment to reiterate that what reporting is available within the iCims platform through the standard integration.
So I'm happy, this is Weston again, I'm happy to take the lead on that, and Chance, obviously keep me honest here, sir, but I would say the full detail is available within iCims. I think Chance kind of had a very sound statement as we were wrapping up that the whole intention is to never really have to log back into eSkill as a user of both solutions. But ultimately what we're looking for here is, I was showcasing a few fields of core information that are most typically usable for the recruiter. Hey, yes, the assessment's been completed. Here's a total score on things of that nature. But that link that I was identifying, that is intended to actually link you to the full detail of reporting around that individual person's assessment. So I hope that answers the question. I think so the short answer is absolutely yes, but I think we're kind of displaying it so that it's easily digestible. But if you're looking to access in more detail, you can certainly do that within the iCims platform.
Yes, and I believe on our slide it said companies were using 24 or 25 different platforms, and the number one reason that they had issues was those poor integrations. And so I think that's what we're trying to hit on here, is the power of that integration and the amount of detail you're allowed to see in iCims. And I hope that backs you up a little bit, Weston.
I feel like it does, sir.
Good.
Great. And we had a few more questions coming in, and keep them coming. These are great questions. One question was, the standard integration includes the full detail, and I think we just reiterated, yes, it does. If you currently are an eSkill and an iCims customer but are not integrated, I believe the best resource would be to reach out to your iCims account manager. We are, of course, we are making note of, who's attending these webinars, and the account managers on the iCims and the eSkill side will both be notified. So if that's something that you want to do, feel free to reach out to your account manager. How effective would this be for clinical candidates such as nurses? And throw that to you, Chan.
Yes, of course. So we have content for that, of course. The one I can think of right off the top of my head is we actually do have nursing skills, and we also have medical terminology. And then I'm sure data checking, looking at patient information would be important as well. And without building an entire test out for you right now on the phone, the answer is yes.
Great.
We do have content for that.
Wonderful. There's so many questions coming in. I'm trying to go through and then try to consolidate what I could. So one is, will we be able to export the answers and reports to email to other people in the organization? And to piggyback on that, there was another one that says, the assessment link to review the results that's stored in iCims, can that also be shared to people who may not have an eSkill login? It's kind of a twofold.
Yeah, so
okay,
I'll
so I think it'll take input from both of us, but I'll let you go first, Weston.
Perfect. So from the iCims perspective, to the export of answers and reports and being able to facilitate and share out to other members in the organization, the short answer there is yes. Obviously, once this integration is in place, we can work with you around building, what that ideal report or email template might entail to be able to share that. So feeling very comfortable with a yes there. The second portion of it, I think, was more about, I'm already drawing a blank. An assessment link to review the results, stored in iCims. Yes, so they should be available to hiring managers depending upon the level of granularity that you want to get into. Again, referencing that link is intention to be either a web-driven PDF version of the results, and or can allow them to link back into the eSkill system. So in that instance, related to hiring managers, if they don't have an eSkill login, we'll probably want that link to serve as a web-based PDF where they can see the results and not be required to log into eSkill. Obviously, if you want them to see the details within eSkill, my assumption here is that they'll need to have a login to the eSkill platform.
And I think you answered that pretty well. I'll just back you up a little bit on it. So with access to that link, you don't require an eSkill login. So really, however you choose to deploy that link to your hiring managers or anyone within your company through the iCims platform, they won't be required to log into eSkill.
Great. Okay. One more question. Can we create our own custom questions?
Yes. So there's actually the editor tool, which I didn't even hit on. But so in addition to the 60,000 plus questions, we have a lot of clients that either come to us with paper tests that they want to convert over to an online test, or we have people that want to hang their own training content, like I talked about for the developing piece. That's specific to their company that they just want to deploy to their incumbents, or I'll just go through all of them, or for pre-hire assessments, they have a very specific position. They may or may not have their own content already, but they have an idea of what they want. We can absolutely go through and help you build that. And I do that all the time. Great.
Okay, and one last note that I just want to make it is that we did record this webinar and we will be distributing it via email. We can also send the slides too if requested, but the recording will go out to everyone who attended. If you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to eSkill or iCims or either account manager, as well as visit the products within the iCims marketplace. But I believe that is it for us today. I want to thank both Weston and Chance. Thank you guys both for taking us through the platforms and how we have our seamless integration and partnership together. So thank you guys again.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you, Alexander. Thank you, Weston. And thank you for everyone that attended.
Great. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you again.